This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for Friday, May 31st. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, a dangerous week of storms and flooding helping residents to recover now. A major pro-life bill becomes law in Louisiana, plus abortion talk, a very intentional war of words. And you got to see what brought Steve Harvey to tears on his own talk show. All those stories and more are ahead today in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We want to begin, though, across the country where for weeks now severe weather has been wreaking havoc from Texas to Ohio. As Jennifer Wishon now reports, now thousands of Americans are relying on the help of charity of others.
Oh! Power flashes, power flashes.
Remarkable images of perfectly formed funnel clouds caught on camera, ripping up everything in their paths. These homes in Texas reduced to toothpicks. In Pennsylvania, a church steeple toppled, trees tossed onto houses like straw.
The sun was shining yesterday, and then all of a sudden, all these dark clouds, and the weather came.
I've never seen a wind like that. I mean, branches were blowing all over the place. Our trash cans were everywhere.
In Maryland, commuters forced to dodge debris as it fell.
Yikes! That tree just fell.
More than 1,500 flights canceled due to storms. This plane about an hour outside of St. Louis is grounded, flipped over like a toy by the wind.
You can see the rotation, you can see the rain.
And while some Americans recover from wind damage, for others it's water. Record flooding is causing chaos and heartache in Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, where Tulsa is experiencing its worst flooding in more than 30 years. In the small community of Braggs, this is the only way in or out, unless you happen to have a horse.
They're saying at least June 8th before we can get a car out.
Sarah and David Ensminger are just two of the many people relying on the benevolence of others. Their home is submerged under 14 feet of water.
We lost everything. Our car's there, our truck's there, everything. It's all underwater.
And the couple is still looking for their two dogs.
I just pretty much stay stressed, and I try to think positive, but I mean, it's just hard.
It's a similar situation in the Dayton, Ohio area where a tornado ripped through this week.
It's still very shocking. It's still very shocking to see your community torn apart in a matter of seconds.
CBN's Operation Blessing is there to help. A 53-foot tractor trailer holding bottled water, hygiene kits, and meals is now on the scene, and that's not all.
Our equipment has arrived, our mobile command center, our tool trailers and supply trucks, and we're going to start coordinating volunteers immediately to go out and help tornado victims with their cleanup efforts.
Thank you so much for, one, buying all the products, that you didn't have to do that. God bless you for that. And coming and giving your time to the community of Trotwood.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Devastating indeed. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, a Democrat, signed a bill into law banning abortions as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. The law makes abortions illegal after an unborn baby's heartbeat is detected, and it does not provide exceptions in the case of rape or incest. The bill does not go into effect immediately, but only if a similar law in Mississippi, which already has been blocked by a judge, is upheld by a federal appeals court. Governor Edwards is Catholic and says he supports the law because of his faith and because it's in line with the views of people in his state. One of the ways the debate over abortion is defined is by language, in a dispute where one side says a woman's right to health care and the other calls it murder. As Paul Strand now reports, this war of words is well thought out on every level.
The doctor and the mother determine whether or not they will execute the baby.
The president used that language to describe this possibility.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue.
Truth lies between the president's depiction and the Virginia governor's words.
We want the decision to be made by the mothers.
This month, NPR published its long-standing radio style guide. NPR does not use the term abortion clinics, preferring clinics that perform abortions.
We will never abandon you, and we will help you get the care that you need no matter what.
That's significant when the last of those clinics that perform abortions is set to close if Missouri refuses to renew its license.
This is real and a public health crisis.
The head of Planned Parenthood says that would endanger the health of more than 1 million women in Missouri.
Abortion is not health care, and furthermore, it's not family planning.
Marilyn Musgrave of the Susan B. Anthony list said on Faith Nation that science reveals the reality of abortion.
When I was in high school, girls were told it's a blob of tissue. We all know it isn't a blob of tissue anymore.
In a debate where the terms pro-life and pro-choice have become taboo, NPR okays using anti-abortion rights, but not pro-abortion rights.
Some anti-abortion groups use language that intentionally shames women. Make sure you use accurate, neutral language.
This year, the International Planned Parenthood Federation updated its guide called How to Talk About Abortion.
You probably know someone who's had an abortion. Consider how your messages would make them feel.
Christian radio host Eric Metaxas says the sensitive subject should be addressed in real terms.
The people of America need to think about what happens during an abortion. We need to discuss it. It is gruesome. We need to face the gruesomeness of it.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
And here are a couple of examples. Partial birth abortions, according to NPR, should be described as intact dilation and extraction. And late-term abortion should be restricted because it's, quote, conveys the sense that the fetus is viable. An NPR spokesperson tells CBN News as a company, quote, we strive to use words and descriptions that accurately convey information. And, quote, we're constantly evaluating best practices and the language may evolve. NPR also told us the guidelines have been long-standing and were just reissued. President Donald Trump is hitting back hard against the former special counsel Robert Mueller's comments this week as he resigned from his post. He accused Mueller of being conflicted, adding the entire Russia investigation was compromised from the start. Our Amber Strong has the story.
President Trump added his own take Thursday following now former special counsel Robert Mueller's much talked about statement. This as the drumbeat for impeachment grows a little bit louder.
Robert Mueller should have never been chosen.
The president accusing Mueller of being conflicted and questioning why the special counsel ignored a specific area.
Why didn't he investigate Strzok and Page and McCabe and Comey and all the lies?
This just one day after Mueller's surprise press conference and statement providing insight on investigating the president.
Under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional.
Democrats interpreting it as a clear call to action.
It is definitely time. The evidence is overwhelming, but also the American people are hurting.
It falls to Congress to respond to the crimes, lies, and other wrongdoing of President Trump. We will do so.
They found an unlikely ally in GOP Congressman Justin Amash, but fellow Republicans say impeachment was the plan all along.
They've been pushing for impeachment since the day they won the majority.
But is that really the will of the party? Speaker Pelosi says only about 38 House Democrats have been vocal on the matter.
Yes, there are some, and the press makes more of a fuss about the 38 than the 200.
Of course, impeachment begins and ends with Speaker Pelosi, and so far she says she wants to do what's right and what gets results. Amber Strong, CBN News in Washington.
The U.S. economy is showing its strongest gains in 4 years. It grew at a better than expected 3.1% during the first 3 months of the year. The gross domestic product rose sharply from 2.2% in the fourth quarter. But a slowdown could be on the horizon, with the economists warning GDP growth will see a significant slowdown between April and June. The Trump administration taking strong action to curb illegal immigration, imposing a 5% tariff on all imports from Mexico. The move intended to pressure the Mexican government to crack down on Central American migrants passing through that country on the way to the U.S. border. President Donald Trump says the tariffs go into effect June 10th and will gradually increase to 25% until, quote, until the illegal immigration policy is remedied. North Korea reportedly has executed a top diplomatic official and 4 others engaged in nuclear negotiations with the U.S. That is according to a South Korean daily paper. North Korea has not commented on the report. The Associated Press reports it is not unusual for the regime to blame underlings for high-profile mistakes like the failed summit with the U.S. back in February. However, South Korean papers have sometimes reported stories on the Kim regime that later turned out to be wrong. Coming up, faith leaders across America call on Christians to pray for the commander-in-chief. Stay with us for that story and so much more right here on CBN NewsWatch.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
President Trump's senior advisor, Jared Kushner, and U.S. Special Envoy Jason Greenblatt met with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the president's deal of the century for peace in the Middle East. The meeting came just hours after Netanyahu suffered a major political defeat when he couldn't form a coalition government. Yet he vowed the peace plan will go on.
I have to say that I'm tremendously encouraged by everything that I hear about how the United States under President Trump is working to bring allies together in this region against common challenges, but also to seize common opportunities. And even though we had a little event last night, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue working together.
This was my first time in Israel since the president recognized the Golan Heights, which was a very important announcement. The security of Israel is something that's critical to the relationship between America and Israel, and also very important to the president in his heart.
Kushner and Greenblatt said despite the political climate in Israel, the economic conference scheduled for next month in Bahrain will go on. Economic development plays a key role in the president's peace plan. It has been an historic week in Israel where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu failed to form a new government, resulting in an unprecedented upcoming second election. Our Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more. So, Chris, with these developments, how are things looking politically there in Israel?
Well, Ephraim, I'll show you the front page of the Jerusalem Post this morning. It says, party leaders take off gloves as do-over race begins. I think that says a lot right now. The knives are out. Everybody's blaming each other for what happened in the failure to form a coalition government. It's sort of like Game of Thrones right now, but some people say it may actually be like Groundhog Day. And the reason for that is the polls taken just one day after the failure to form a coalition government said that the results may be just the same as they were at this last election. So we could run into the same failure of an inability of any potential prime minister to form a government. That likely would be Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once again, but we'll see. It remains to be seen. It's a very volatile situation right now. I think Israelis are dissatisfied that they have to go back to the polls once again, and it leaves Israel's political landscape really in disarray right now, and a lot of uncertainty here in Israel politically.
Indeed. So what impact could this have on Israel's security situation in the region?
Well, I guess the main thing, Ephraim, is it going to be delayed once again. It was delayed when this election was called several months ago, so they were going to unveil it actually in the beginning of June after Ramadan. That will be delayed likely till after September 17th is when the next elections are planned for. But one thing that is continuing, as you mentioned in this report, the economic summit in Bahrain, scheduled for June 25th and 26th, will go on. The economic part of this peace plan is really, I think, central to what's going on. I think it's actually different from many other peace plans in the past. Actually, the other day I was speaking to Bassam Eid. He's a major Palestinian dissident. He's not much in favor of the Palestinian Authority. And he was saying the politics, lay that aside, economic incentives for the Palestinians, actually for the whole region, will really make a difference. And so that's the key part of the economic peace plan, key part of this deal of the century.
What impact do you see this having on the deal of the century?
Well, I think the economics really could actually be a game changer in a sense, you know, maybe push it over the line. Although the Palestinian Authority said they're not going to Bahrain, they reject the Trump peace plan. That's the one other ingredient. And I think what the Trump is trying to do is actually reach out to Palestinians who are willing to work with Jewish leaders, with Israeli leaders, and develop this economic prosperity that really is possible in, you know, parts of the West Bank. Not so sure about the Gaza Strip. Hamas seems dead set against any of this peace plan at all. But there really could be economic prosperity in what's called the West Bank and Judea and Samaria if and when Israeli and Palestinian economic leaders sit down together. That's beginning to happen. That's the one major change that I see in covering this for about 20 years in any kind of peace plan.
We know you've got a lot to cover this week on Jerusalem Dateline. What can we look forward to?
Well, this week we're going to have a special on Scott Ross. He's visiting here, and he's done many stories in the past. We're going to be doing a story on Magdala, where there was a first-century synagogue on the Golan Heights that was just recognized by the United States as Israeli sovereign territory. We'll have that. I think it's going to be a great show, and it will really highlight some of the other stories that Scott Ross has been doing over the years about Tel Aviv, Sderot, and actually one of these Palestinian leaders. His name is Afshef Bari from Hebron. I think it'll be an informative and actually enlightening show about what's happening here in Israel.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Chris. A reminder for you all, you can watch Jerusalem Dateline tonight. That is at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Some of the nation's top pastors and evangelists, including Franklin Graham, are calling America to prayer this weekend, Sunday, June 2nd, actually, for President Donald Trump. CBN White House correspondent Ben Kennedy shows us why Graham believes this is a critical time for our country.
Reverend Franklin Graham calls this a critical time for America and that we need to pray for God to intervene.
We once again place our hopes in the hands of our Creator.
And it's God that Reverend Franklin Graham wants Christians worldwide to pray to for President Trump.
Next Sunday, June the 2nd, I and many other Christian leaders across the country are asking you to take a moment during that day to pray for President Donald Trump.
Graham adds that no president has been attacked more than Trump and that the only hope for him and this nation is God.
He's our president, and if he succeeds, we all benefit. But if his enemies are allowed to destroy him and pull down the presidency, it will hurt our entire nation.
I was really obliged and thankful for Franklin's stepping out on this issue, so we joined.
Kevin Jessup is the chairman of the grassroots movement called Save the Persecuted Christians. He's one of the faith leaders who signed the proclamation to pray.
I believe that the word of God will be lifted up in this nation. And that's what we need. We need the national dialogue to include the Word of God.
Reverend Franklin Graham is asking Christians to get the word out of this day of prayer for the president. So far, more than 250 faith leaders plan to join him. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, the White House.
Still ahead, the latest Godzilla movie hits theaters with lots of special effects and action. We're going to have a review of that film right after this. Stay with us.
Regents First ROTC graduate student.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Regents First ROTC graduate student.
It's Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the latest take on the iconic King of the Apes, the 35th to be exact. Here's a closer look at the story that has him rescuing the world.
What we are witnessing here is the return of Titans.
In the movie Godzilla, King of the Monsters, gigantic titans are mysteriously popping up to rampage through the cities of the world.
How many of these things are there?
17 and counting.
And according to Dr. Emma Russell, the monsters are simply the Earth's defense mechanism. When mankind creates too many environmental disasters, spreads too much pollution, or causes too much destructive war, things have to be balanced out. So the Earth itself sends out a radioactive beastie to level the human playing field and to get things growing once more. The problem is, Dr. Russell reasons, that things move too slowly. It would be better for the destruction to be worldwide and quick. So she secretly uses the resources of a monster-seeking agency called Monarch, not to track or destroy the creatures, but to spur their rage to a full boil. But what if this brilliant scientist is wrong? Who will save the remnants of mankind from total destruction? Can they hope for help from the king of the monsters? Can they call for Godzilla? This bombastic monster film is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It gets the world-rending destructive action rolling early and keeps building from there. But the plot holes here are as huge as the sky-high kaiju beasties themselves. The death dealing is astronomical, and the god-profaning language is nearly shocking in its quantity. So I'm giving this latest Godzilla just 1.5 out of 5 for family friendliness. For more of this film or anything else at your local box office, visit us at PluggedIn.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Cheryl Wilhelmy for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
Coming up, Steve Harvey is literally brought to tears by one woman's powerful appearance on his talk show. Stay with us.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
by sharing their knowledge
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
and their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Comedian and talk show host Steve Harvey was brought to tears and nearly left speechless by a guest on his show recently. As part of his Put Me On Steve segment, it happened when singer Duranis Pace sang over him. The video has gone viral with more than 10 million Facebook views as Pace and Harvey tell their stories of faith. Take a look.
I didn't know if I was going to be alive, but God done kept me alive to see you, sir.
I was raised where she in heaven now, you know.
Yes, she is.
And she watches me.
Yes, sir.
She sees.
Yes, sir.
I just hope she's seeing today.
Yes, sir.
Watching this moment right here.
Yes, sir.
Only reason I straighten up, start doing right, because I just want to see her.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You going to see her. You going to see her.
Other than that, I still be going to hell like I was. You know?
Powerful. You can see the full story and video at cbnnews.com. Time now for your Friday Faithful, and today I'd like to leave you with this thought. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but he isn't always doing the same things or the same way. So stop looking for him to answer prayers the same way he did years ago. He's always calling you to change, to grow, to do better, and to be better. He's got bigger and better waiting. He promises in his word, your latter will be better than your former. So in short, what lies ahead is always better than what lies behind. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. We'll see you right back here, same time, come Monday. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless you.